What's going on, YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my Godzilla comic book reviews. And in this video, we're talking about Godzilla vs. America, Godzilla vs. Boston, issue number 1. So this is the third entry in the Godzilla vs. America series. So we had initially, what was it? We had the Los Angeles one, we had Godzilla versus Chicago, and now we're back in Boston. Godzilla makes his grand return to Boston for the first time since Godzilla King of the Monsters, unless I missed something between now and 2019 in terms of comic books and all that too. So yeah, this is another one like the other ones. It's an anthology series, various storylines interwoven into the Boston city and anything kind of encompassing around it. So yeah, let's see what this one kind of has in store. So we have 4 storylines here. We have the Great Gorilla Whale, we have Godzilla versus the lobster that attacked Boston, Make Way for Mothra, and the Green Line. Out of the 4 storylines, I think the Mothra one I kind of have a bit of a the softest spot for. So the first one is written by Steve Orlando, illustrated by Matt Emmons, and then the second storyline is Godzilla vs. the Lobster. That's one written and illustrated by Jessie Lonergan. And then Make Way for Mothra is written and illustrated by Hannah Cha. And then the Green Line is written and illustrated by Hayden Sherman. So, and then colors by all these other people. And I mean, like I said, there's several people working on credits. So the first storyline is the Great Gorilla Whale, and it's basically kind of like this old seaman's tale. I don't know why I chuckled about that, by some guy who looks a little kind of disfigured, I guess. Like, he just kind of looks like a decrepit old man. Tells the tale of his encounter with Godzilla out on the ocean, this whaling stuff, how everything they try to utilize against it was completely ineffective, and how basically Godzilla and that followed him back to Boston, but the city kind of sort of fought back, and Godzilla just kind of went on his merry way. And that's basically the story in a nutshell. Pretty basic. There's a few cool shots of Godzilla in here, but like with the artistic style right here, I'm not sure if like is this just meant to be like an old guy, or if he's like kind of like got Killer Croc from Batman the Animated Series, just like kind of face looking we got right going on here, because like just look at his teeth and all that, they're like kind of sharp and kind of creepy looking. Like, I'm like, this guy just makes me think like Killer Croc from Batman the Animated Series, but obviously like a lot smaller and I guess a little bit more human like. So, but you know, it's an okay little story right there to start things off. The second storyline is Godzilla versus the lobster that attacked Boston, and this one's kind of just told in basically like one continuous kind of shot, the way everything's kind of orchestrated right here. We have some guy working at some place, and there's these chemicals in there. They get kind of flushed down the drain of sorts. They wind up in the ocean, hit a lobster, which turns into basically Ebra. It's like I said, this is basically just Godzilla versus the sea monster again, but the lobster this time is blue and it's not quite Ebra. Kind of goes and attacks. Godzilla is kind of swimming around, sees some whales, gets hit with the was it the statue of George Washington or something? He's like, hey, what's going on here? And then he goes back to Boston, fights the thing, pretty much whoops this thing's ass, and basically kind of it ends with the lobster kind of being sold. And when somebody eats into it, whatever that little canister full of whatever stuff it was that made the lobster change seems to be affecting somebody, and then it says the end. So it leaves it kind of a bit on an ambiguous note. So again, this is pretty straightforward, just kind of like Godzilla fighting just the sea monster in Boston, but we get to see how it all kind of like became like, you know, how it all like orchestrated and such. So there you go. Now the third storyline is the one that I kind of liked probably the most of the bunch. It's Make Way for Mothra, and this is basically Godzilla. He's got Mothra's egg. Instead of trying to eat and like attacking the thing, he kind of takes it to shore, and look at him there. Look at him, he's cuddling and looking around the thing. Like, this is Godzilla just kind of being like the protector of sorts, letting the Mothra larva hatch, and it kind of like forms around the city. They kind of attack things, and then they just kind of form as their, you know, Mothra evolves into the larva form, and they just kind of look at each other and like, hey, we're in this together. So yeah, again, it's very straightforward, but I kind of like seeing Godzilla protect the Mothra egg. It's not something you really see. I mean, you see him protect, you know, Godzilla Jr. and all that, but you never really see him protect the Mothra egg. Like, he's always tried to attack it, at least in the movies. So I thought this was kind of a nice little touch, seeing the softer side of Godzilla. I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. And then the final storyline is the Green Line, and it's set on the Green Line, and it's kind of similar to the one in Chicago where it's like the runaway train, but this one, they're trying to get to this destination, and it does kind of have a bit more of a surprising reveal. And as they kind of make way to this theater right here, they lure Godzilla to it, and you're wondering, like, why is he luring Godzilla to the theater? But it turns out the simians are here, and they captured little Godzilla, and now Godzilla sees regret, and the simians are like, oh shit, and Godzilla just kind of wreaks havoc and frees his kid, and it seems that they're on kind of their merry way. And then we see the next issue is going to be Godzilla versus Kansas City, which I'm like, maybe he'll take a crap on the Chiefs Stadium. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, that was it was a pretty fun little anthology thing. I'm not sure which one is, like, of these 3 anthologies so far is my favorite, because it's an anthology series. You get little stories right here. I'm not expecting anything like mind-blowing or something that's so captivating that it's going to, like, change my perception on things, or it's like, wow, that's like the greatest Godzilla story ever told. I don't expect that. These are anthology things. They're short, kind of to the point, fun little storylines mixed in with whatever city that the storyline takes place. I would love to see them Godzilla in Detroit. Like, that's the one I'm hoping for. But, like, Kansas City, can we get one of Godzilla in Detroit? We've had Godzilla in all these other cities. Let's put him in Detroit or something, a city we haven't seen him before. Because Boston, we had King of the Monsters, so, like, seeing Godzilla in this, it's nothing like entirely new. I mean, Godzilla's appeared in all sorts of cities, but still have yet to see him in some of those other ones. But at least to my knowledge, unless I missed something. Did I miss something? No? Okay. Well, that's the city I want to see him attack at some point. So, but all things considered, this was a perfectly serviceable one. The Godzilla Mothra one is my personal favorite of the 4 little storylines. First one's just kind of a basic, like, old sea captain kind of tale, which, you know, I kind of like those types of stories. The second one was, you know, just kind of all right. It's just Godzilla versus basically the sea monster again, but in Boston, like a mutated lobster, but it kind of ends on an interesting little ambiguous note. Third storyline, like I said, the Mothra one, because you get to see the softer side of Godzilla, which is always a nice touch, so I like that aspect. And then, of course, the final one, where it kind of had an interesting reveal, because I'm like, boy, this feels very similar to the one that we did, like, back in the Chicago one, where he's going through the Chicago train and all that, too. But it's like, oh, okay, we got something a little bit different here, so I thought that was kind of a neat little reveal at the end, and it's always fun to see Godzilla face off against the simians. So, yeah, there you go. There's my quick thoughts on it. Perfectly fine Godzilla comic book. Not the best that I've seen from, you know, IDW for sure, but again, it's an anthology one. I don't expect, like, all that much, but, you know, if you want a few fun little storylines mixed in with the Boston theme, then, or should I say Boston, then you can't really go wrong with something like this. So, but, yeah, like I said, best one's still the Mothra and Godzilla one, which I'm sure the Mothzilla shippers will really enjoy or something like that. So, can't believe I actually brought them up, but there's fuel for their fire. So, yeah. All right, well, I've rambled on long enough. That's going to wrap it up for the Godzilla comic book reviews for the week. I looked, too, for some of my DC books. Apparently, we're supposed to get an issue of Titans, like, annual and, like, the Nightwing annual released today, but Amazon does not have anything listed on there, and I'm wondering, did I miss something? Was there just no new comics released this week? And I checked online, and a lot of people are kind of saying the same thing. But, man, it seems like Amazon, their comics have been having some issues with a few different publishers. But at least the Godzilla vs. Boston comic book was here, and I can kind of get something out, like, the first day. So, because I'm like, I want to be on top of things. I want to be caught up, and now we got this. So, all right, well, that's all I have to say. What did you think of the comic book? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all the fun stuff. And as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.